Hey guys, GSP on GSP Talk Sports here. We're talking football round 22 and EFL, Carabao Cup, Afcon, whatever else from basically this week. So starting from this Tuesday, we had the EFL action, Newcastle versus City, and we had a 2-0 City win. 2-0 City win in this. Pretty comfortable in the end. So City move on. This was EFL semi-final, Carabao Cup semi-final, first legs. So this is being played over two legs. So no one-time finish, or if you draw, go through on penalties or anything like that. So City with an early 2-0 lead over Newcastle. Continuing in Spain, Copa del Rey. So we had some interesting ones. We had Atletico Madrid with a 1-0 over Deportivo La Coruna. That's round 16 of the Spain Copa del Rey. So they're making it through. Athletic Club making it through as well. And Real Sociedad also on the Tuesday. And then we had Coppa Italia, round of 16, Torino with a big 3-2 win over Roma. And then moving on to Wednesday, so Wednesday, the 14th January 2026, we had EFL action again, Carabao Cup semi-final, first leg with Chelsea versus Arsenal, and this one ended up with an Arsenal 3-2 win, so big 3-2 win there for Arsenal in the first leg here. Garnacho came on and scored the double for Chelsea to kind of come back into this game, by the way. So 3-2 Arsenal against Chelsea. We had on the Wednesday Inter beaten Lecce in the Serie A. And Spain Copa del Rey. We had Albacete beaten Real Madrid 3-2 in this Copa del Rey round of 16 match. Now, Real would have been coming off the Super Cup loss to Barcelona, right? And Real Abaloa in charge because Real fired Xabi Alonso. And you're thinking, hey, Copa del Rey, you have like an easier opponent, second tier opponent, and dominating, but couldn't get it done, couldn't get shot on target, couldn't convert, and 3-2 Real crash out of Copa del Rey. So all to fight for is the La Liga, right? It's currently 4 points behind Barca, so we had to hope a whole set of things go correct there, right there for Real. So pressure on Real. And we had on Wednesday, we had African Cup semi-final, so Afcon semi-finals. And first match was the Senegal versus Egypt. I would have predicted Egypt, but that was more sentimental for Salah than anything. Because Egypt, by the way, they only have 3 players playing in Europe, top leagues. Senegal, whole side playing outside basically. And 1-0 Senegal win, Mane again. So having beaten Salah in the Afcon finals before, World Cup qualifier, playoff, dagger in Salah and Egypt's heart again. Mane being the man, boy. Salah got rid of him from Liverpool, and Mane got the revenge again here. So Senegal with a 1-0 win, moving on to the finals. And then the next match, we had Nigeria versus Morocco. Now, I was predicting Nigeria based on how they were looking to go through against Morocco. It was a 0-0 normal time, and then 4-2 Morocco won it on penalties. So Morocco unbeaten in, I think it's 23 games. So Morocco getting it done on penalties, and we'll be having a Morocco versus Senegal final on Sunday. Before that will be third place players, Egypt versus Nigeria. Whoever we're hoping to get Salah back early, he has a third place playoff to play for. I don't know how that's going to go against Nigeria. Most likely Nigeria should be taking that. So those were the matches on the Wednesday. On Thursday, Barcelona getting it done 2-0 over Racing Santander in the round of 16 Copa del Rey. So pretty straightforward for them. Moving on to Friday. So Friday the 16th it is. And not much big matches. We have some League A matches, one or two in La Liga and Serie A. So, right, moving on to predictions for this round 22. English Premier League starting off. We have MANU versus Man City, right? So the Manchester Derby. We have MANU in 7th place versus 2nd place City. MANU coming off that 2-1 loss to Brighton in the FA. MANU in crisis. So they fired Amaran. They have Fletcher and I can't remember. Right? So caretaker coach basically looking at bringing back Solskjaer and all kind of madness. So going around in a circle, not sorting out anything properly. Carrick in charge. So they get knocked out of the FA Cup by Brighton, and they would have been knocked out by Grimsby in the Carabao Cup. So pressure for them here. They have they're doing pretty well up front. They have 6 goals in the last 5. Their recent matches, 3 draws, 1 loss, 1 win. And City, they 6 points behind the leaders, level with Villa. They coming off the 2-0 win over Newcastle in the Carabao Cup semis. They have 14 goals in the last 5. Mr. Haaland with 20, top scorer. And they have, in the last 5 matches, they have 3 draws. That's against Sunderland, Chelsea, and Brighton. And they have 2 wins. So, not the best of form for City, but I'm going to go with, going against common sense here, thinking City's supposed to win. I'm going to go with a draw. MANU to get a draw at home. New manager bounce, if you want to say that. Because it's a derby, game going to be different from usual. MANU usually step up to the plate when they play in, let me say, top 6 as compared to the playing Wolves or the playing Leeds or the teams that they expect them to get it done against. So I'm expecting MANU to take a point there. Arsenal people would be happy with this. Obviously, a City win would be better for the title race. So let's see. Now we're moving on to, we have Chelsea in 5th place versus Brentford in I have to double check Brentford position. Chelsea in 8th, right? Chelsea in 8th. Chelsea lost that 5th place long time. Alex making a mistake here. Brentford in 5th, right? So Brentford in New Chelsea. Let's see. Chelsea coming off the 3-2 loss to Arsenal in the Carabao semi-final. Brentford coming off a 2-0 win over Sheffield Wednesday, in the FA Cup. And Chelsea with 11 goals in the last 5, but no clean sheet in the last 8. Brentford with 13 goals in the last 5. No loss in the last 6, so unbeaten. They have 5 wins, 1 draw in the last 6. They have Mr. Thiago with 16 goals on fire. And Chelsea, with their little problems, they have Palmer still doubtful. Chelsea with 2 draws, 2 losses, and 1 win. 1 win just in the FA Cup for Chelsea recently. Going to go with that Chelsea win though. Alex, I hope I'll do disappoint me this time. Going to go with that Chelsea win. Feeling like Brentford might get it done, but going to go with that Chelsea win for this one. So let's see. Moving on to Leeds in 16th place versus Fulham in 9th. Leeds coming off the 3-1 win over Derby in FA Cup, and Fulham coming off the 3-1 win over Middlesbrough, right? Also in the FA Cup. Fulham with 9 goals in the last 5. They won the previous 4 against Leeds, and no loss in the last 6, by the way. Leeds with 8 goals in the last 5. So is Calvert-Lewin versus Wilson for Fulham on fire these days. I'm going to go with a draw in this match though. Leeds versus Fulham, draw. Then we have big clash here. Liverpool in 4th place versus Burnley in 19th. Liverpool coming off the impressive 4-1 win over Barnsley in the FA Cup 3rd round. 11 matches unbeaten, by the way, so thank God for that. 2 match draws there, but I taken the unbeaten. Burnley coming off a 5-1 win over Millwall in the FA Cup. Burnley with 8 goals in the last 5, 1 win, 2 losses, 2 draws in the last 5. Liverpool with 8 goals in the last 5 as well. I haven't lost to Burnley in the last 6. Liverpool with just 2 wins, 3 draws in the last 5. Have to go with a Liverpool win. Liverpool win for this one. So all these are on the Saturday in EPL. Continuing Saturday EPL, we have 10th place Sunderland versus 13th place Palace. And Sunderland with coming off the 0-0 draw with Everton. And then a 3-0 win on penalties in the FA Cup. Palace coming off a 2-1 loss to Macclesfield. Yeah, so Palace holders, FA Cup holders, getting knocked out by 6th-tier Macclesfield in the FA Cup. And they looking to lose Gay as it looking here now. They only have 2 goals in the last 5, no win in the last 9. So crisis time at Palace here. And Sunderland 3 goals in the last 5. I'm gonna go with a Sunderland win here. Gonna go with a Sunderland win versus Palace. So let's see whether Palace bounce back or not. Spurs in 14th versus West Ham in 13th. Richarlison versus Bowen. So Spurs with coming off a 2-1 loss to Villa in the FA Cup. And West Ham coming off a 2-1 win over QPR in the FA Cup. I guess that's the only way West Ham could get a win by FA Cup against lower league. So Spurs 5 goals in the last 5. They had 2 losses, 2 draws, 1 win in the last 5. West Ham with 5 goals in the last 5 as well. No clean sheet in 19 matches. And in the last 5, they have 3 losses, 1 win, 1 draw. I'm predicting a Spurs win. Spurs win against West Ham. Yes, Spurs. Let's go. Forest are in 17th versus Arsenal in 1st. And Arsenal, as we said, 6 points above both City and Villa. Forest coming off a 3-3 draw and then a 4-3 loss to Wrexham. So Forest and all getting beaten in FA Cup to lower league opposition. Arsenal coming off a 3-2 win over Chelsea in the Carabao semi-final. Arsenal with 14 goals in the last 5, 10 clean sheets, most in the league, and no loss to Forest in the last 5, by the way. 4 wins, 1 draw in their last 5 matches. So Arsenal on a tear at the moment. Are they going to be stopped? Time will tell. Forest with 7 in the last 5. 3 losses, 1 win, 1 draw in the last 5 matches. Have to go to Arsenal win here. I don't see Arsenal slipping up anytime soon. So, yeah, let's see there. So those are the Saturday matches. EPL continuing Saturday in Serie A. This is round 21, by the way, in Serie A. We have Calgary in 16 versus Juve in 4th. Calgary coming off a 0-0 with Genoa. Juve coming off a 5-0 win over Cremonese. 13 goals in the last 5. Haven't lost to Calgary in the last 10. And Juve unbeaten in the last 7, thank God. 4 wins, 1 draw in the last 5 matches. Going with a Juve win here. Juve win. Saturday in La Liga, we have 2nd place Real versus 19th place Levante. And Real 4 points behind Barca. Alonso gone. Coming off the 3-2 loss to Albacete, right, in the Copa del Rey round 16. Levante coming off a 1-1 with Espanyol. Levante only have 5 goals in the last 5. Real with 13 goals in the last 5. Mbappe still top with 18. Real with 3 wins and 2 losses. The 2 losses were Copa del Rey round of 16 and Super Cup final. So 2 big losses there. Have to go to a Real window in the league. Win in the league. Yeah, so Real to win this one. Saturday in Afcon, we have the Egypt versus Nigeria 3rd place playoff. Egypt coming off the 1-0 loss to Senegal. Nigeria coming off the 0-0 and 4-2 loss, to Morocco. And sadly, I had to say Salah versus Osimhen. 4 goals each. Nigeria win. Yeah, Nigeria win. I would like Salah to get, but it really matters 3rd place and not top. Moving on to Sunday EPL, we have 20th place Wolves, right, versus 6th place Newcastle. So Newcastle back on a little run here. Garames versus Hichan, yeah. Wolves coming off a 6-1 win over Shrewsbury in the FA Cup. Big win there for Wolves. Newcastle coming off a 2-0 loss to City in EFL. Wolves with 13 goals in last 5, so doing well up front. 2 wins, 2 draws, 1 loss. Newcastle with 12 goals in last 5, haven't lost to Wolves in last 8. And 3 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw in the last 5. Have to go with a Newcastle win here. Newcastle win. So let's see how that goes. Continuing Sunday, EPL, we have 3rd place Villa versus 12th place Everton. And Villa coming off a 2-1 win over Spurs in the FA Cup. Everton coming off a 1-1 draw and a 3-0 penalty loss to Sunderland. Everton with 6 goals in the last 5 matches, 1 win, 3 draws, 1 loss. And Villa, 8 goals in the last 5, 3 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw in the last 5. Going to go with a Villa win here. Villa win. Yeah, so Villa to keep the pressure. Hoping Villa could do something in this title race. So let's see. Sunday in La Liga, we have Real Sociedad in 11th versus 1st place Barca. Barca 4 points clear. Sociedad coming off a 2-2 and a 2-2 draw and 4-3 and an up 4-3 win over Osasuna on penalties. Barca coming off the 3-2 win over Real recently in the Super Cup. Barca have 14 goals in the last 5, 5 wins, 0 losses, 0 draws. Perfect in the last 5. And Sociedad 8 in the last 5. Have to go with a Barca win here, sadly. Barca win. And moving on this Sunday, we have the small matter of the Afcon final. We have Senegal versus Morocco. Senegal with the win over Egypt. Morocco with the win over Nigeria. And Senegal, no loss in last 7. Morocco, no loss in last 23. A good few penalties in that run, though, penalty win. Gonna go with a Morocco win here now. Gonna go with a Morocco win. So Morocco at home to take it. Let's see whether that pans out to be true or not. Yeah, and they will end up going into the World Cup as the African champions. So yeah. So that's it for football round 22, Afcon, Carabao Cup, and otherwise EPL, La Liga, Serie A. And let me know your thoughts on this weekend action before Champions League start back next week. And yeah, just don't forget to like, share, subscribe, just be on JSP Talk Sports, and comment. Thank you guys.